share, it helps other people. And by sharing things that inspire you, it's kind of like a ripple effect. It'll just all of a sudden start helping tons and tons of people. And that's really my goal every Saturday morning with No Guts, No Story. So my name's Barb Pitcock. I got started doing this live long before podcasts were even really podcasts. And every Saturday morning, we would normally be at Lake Wilson. My kids were growing up. I started in 2006 and rarely miss a Saturday. But it's crazy how every Saturday it's completely different. My energy is different. The things that have happened are different. The life lessons that I learn are different. And today I was messaging Dave and I was like, what should I talk about today? And it was crazy because we were both on the same wavelength. And Dave said, you should talk about when you have the remote control in your hand and you're looking for source and you can't find the source button. Some of you are looking for source in your life. You're looking for like, what am I supposed to be doing? You know, smash the heart button, share this if you feel like you can't find source. So last night, my daughter has been telling me to watch the Selena Gomez movie, and I don't watch TV. So it's a big joke whenever I have the remote control because I can never, ever figure out how to work it. Sometimes I have it going back to like removing settings on the TV and like, it's a big joke. Mom has the remote, right? So, you know, everyone's like, go Cats, go Cats. I missed every basketball game this week. I'm getting all these messages. I'm just like in a box, right? Because I'm so focused on making moves that sometimes I'm missing what's going on in the world around me. But I really did want to watch this movie because she's asked me several times. So Dave's in Kansas and I'm here at the lake house. Been here for about 30 days on a mission. And I have the remote control in my hand. My daughter's in the shower and I go in there. I'm like, how do you find this movie? She goes, probably on Apple TV. So I have a Samsung remote and then I have like the Cox or whatever service you have here. Ours is called Bolt. I have the cable TV in my hand and I have the TV in my hand. So I'm looking like, why is there two remote controls? And then I find the little home button. I'm like, this must be it. But I'm going through the channels and it's just everything cable. There's no way to like find a documentary or an Apple or a Hulu or a Netflix. I have found Hulu before. And when Darian was playing basketball, I would want to watch his games. And it was the season. I would somehow get logged into Hulu. Like when the dream's big enough, the facts don't count. You can figure it out, right? But last night, I spent an hour trying to figure out. And then you get this little box and you got to put in S and then go over E and then go back L. Like, why don't they just make it to where you can like say what you want? And I know there's voice powered ones because that's the only way I've ever done it at home. But most people can't even figure out the remote control to find source, let alone backspace and delete to spell out an entire thing that you want to watch, right? So my topic today goes hand in hand with that. How do you find direction when you can't even find out how to figure out this remote control? It's like when you're lost and your phone keeps saying reroute. 2 nights ago, I had quite an adventure. I got home. I was here by myself. Dave was headed back to Kansas. And I got a call that I needed to go pick someone up. And it was storming so bad that the roads were washed out. And around the lake, it's like this, right? And it was only 40 miles, but it literally took like 2 hours. And like you're going 55, but then you slam on your brakes and you're like, oh my gosh, we have to back out. Like the river's going over the road. True story. Thought we were going to die. Had my hazards on, going as slow as I could, but yet feeling like I need to get there because this person is standing out in the rain needing a ride. Like so much chaos, right? And that's why I want to talk to you guys about this topic, because I think more people than not feel this chaos in their lives. They're not connected to source. They don't know how to find it. They feel very lost. And I've actually been researching this. I'm doing a coaching series. I have a private group called Best. If you want to be your best with Barb Pitcock, jump in our group. We're working every day to better ourselves, become the best version of us. Apologetically ourselves, our best year ever, our best month ever, our best money ever, our best spiritual growth ever, our best relationships ever, our best physical health ever. Like we're on a mission. So what did I do? I thought, I bet a lot of people in my group are feeling this. So I researched it and I looked up some of my favorite people to learn from. This week, I'm actually going to have my life coach in there as a special guest during the week, and she's going to be coaching the people in the best group. And I cannot wait for that because, I mean, she's $3,000 to $5,000 a month for personal coaching, and you can get it in that group. You can get a little bit of that. It's free for your first week, just $1. And I feel like when you invest in yourself and you have a source to plug into that's maybe got a little more experience, a little better energy, a little better direction, maybe they have the map, it just helps to get rid of this syndrome. So whether you're in my industry, or I looked up people like in Forbes, Brendon Burchard, you look at all the different people that help people, they all say the same thing. So I gathered it all together and I took some notes. I'm going to share with you what to do if you feel lost. Write down the word lost. Why do you feel lost anyway? Like, what are you really lost, or are you just having a pity party for yourself? Because some people think they're lost, but the reality is they're just overthinking a situation. They're just taking things personally. They're just making something bigger than it really is. And this week I shared in my coaching series, the 4 agreements that you must follow. Number 1, you must always be impeccable with your word. Number 2, you want to make sure that you never take things personally. Number 3, I would say, always do your best. You always got to do your best. If you're doing your best, there's nothing to apologize about, right? So be impeccable with your word. Never take things personally. Always do your best. And if you're really thinking about this, you're lost. You can't find source. So that's you. Do you have one friend that you can call? Do you have someone that you plug into? Sorry, I'm ignoring a FaceTime call from my daughter. It's funny how everybody calls me every time I go live. Do you have someone that you can call? Do you have a group that you can plug into? Do you have a mentor or a community that you're a part of that is going to pick you up when you start falling down? If you don't have that, you need to get that. Like, that is numero uno, number 1. You gotta do it. So in those 4 agreements, it talks about you not overthinking things, not taking personally, not saying that you're going to do something and not doing it, and always doing your best. And I think for most people, if they would just do their best, that would be huge. But most people don't. We're all operating on about 10% of our potential. And the problem with that is it gets us like this. Brian Tracy says, if you're not doing your best and you're operating on 10% of your potential, it feels like someone has their hands around your throat and they're cutting off your oxygen. And that's when you feel lost. You feel like, I don't know what I should be doing right now. Well, a life coach, a friend, a mentoring group, maybe your church group, maybe your sponsor if you're in AA or NA, maybe it's your roommate if you're in college, maybe it's an old friend that you haven't talked to for a long time, maybe it's just your mom. But you've got to have someone, because the worst thing is that you sit there and suffer alone. You don't have the conversations. You stay in silence and you stay suffering. The next thing that you should do, number 2, volunteer. When I volunteer, I get around the best people. And, I have volunteered during some of my hardest times. I have gone and done the meeting when I needed the meeting. I have gone and given money or given a talk at a school when I needed the motivation. When you volunteer, you get around people that are on a whole nother level. Maybe the Rotary, maybe Kiwanis, maybe it's, in your college groups, maybe it's the Lions Club, maybe it's the Shriners, maybe it's the American Cancer Society, maybe it's an addiction center, maybe a soup kitchen, maybe it's the food pantry, women's domestic abuse. There's so many places that you could go if you have any sense of any of their story. You could volunteer and say, I've been there, I've done that, I made it through it. But servant leaders are the people that you find when you volunteer. And they're the best people on the planet. In giving, we receive. You guys, only in giving, we receive. That's the thing that people don't get. Oh, how could I go volunteer right now? Like, I'm struggling myself. Well, the thing about it is, the minute that you go volunteer, you're going to realize that you're not really struggling. There's people that are so worse off than you are. So I think volunteering gets us around a whole nother caliber of people to where we level up, because we're like, what in the heck was I worrying about? And you also realize there's other people just like you that are there, and they're giving for no reason. There's no hidden agenda. It's no other reason than to receive nothing, just give. And that is the biggest, best energy, when it's all love, no judgment, all forgiveness, no resentment, no jealousy, no greed, just for the simple fact of giving. Number 3 thing that you should do is read. And when people are at their worst, they never want to hear this advice. People will be like, oh, I can't even talk today in the group. Like, I've just had a really bad week. I'll message them. You should read this book. It will really help you. A couple days later, did they read even a page, even a chapter? Some people don't want to get better. They love feeling this pity party for themselves. And maybe you're mourning, maybe you're hurting, maybe, I don't know what you're going through. But if you're not willing to grow and learn and reach out to someone, and you just want to stay suffering, there's no way for you to get better. And when people have told me to read when I'm down and out, it makes me so mad because I don't feel like doing it. And they might even send me a book. But then if I even open one page, or I even listen to one podcast or one speaker, all of a sudden my energy goes up, and money and health and opportunity and everything flows where energy goes, you guys. So if you don't have any energy, you've got to find the source button. You've got to find the source button. And sometimes for me, it's as simple as saying, God, help me. Like, I can't do this. Like, I surrender it all to you. Please help. Please help. I'm begging you, help me get through this. And sometimes when I just give it all up and give it to God, I feel so much better. Other times I feel terrified. Like, what if I surrender it and he drops the ball? Well, you guys, he can't pick up the ball and run with it if you're constantly holding on to the ball. You're trying to control it. You're trying to fix it. You're trying to change it. You're trying to be the boss about it. He knows it's his will, not ours, ultimately. And if you don't believe that, do not be offended. This might even get canceled on Facebook. I know it's controversial, but it works for me. So, right, like, this has a little disclaimer. These things may not work for you, but they've worked for me, and they've worked miraculously. And without God as my source, I would be lost every single day. He's doing amazing things in my life. But here's the thing. That doesn't mean we're not going to have suffering. Suffering is a given. Like, we're on planet Earth. It's about redemptive suffering. It is all about redemptive suffering. It's going to happen. We are not going to be out of suffering until we go to heaven. And you know what? Dave, every time he drives past the cemetery, he goes, people are just dying to get in that place. And we always laugh. But, the thing is, none of us are really ready. We all want to go to heaven, but none of us want to die, right? Well, we got to realize that while we're here on this round ball that's spinning around and around, we're going to have suffering. That's why we need a source to plug into. What do you do when you're suffering and you don't want to read, and you don't want to pray, and you don't have a friend, and you don't have that community, and you don't feel like serving? Sometimes you just got to have patience. And, there's a story about a dog that's laying on a porch, and every day a guy drives by or walks by the porch, and there's this dog that's just whining and whining and crying and crying. And every morning he walks by. Zig Ziglar tells this story. And one day he goes up to the door and he knocks, and he goes, I think something's wrong with your dog. He keeps crying. And the guy goes, oh, there's nothing wrong with the dog. He's just laying on the nail. And he goes, well, why is the dog laying on the nail crying? And he goes, I don't know. I guess it doesn't hurt bad enough. Sometimes we can want to help people, but until they hit their rock bottom, they're not going to get better. Until it hurts bad enough, they're not going to make a move. And you trying to make a pig sing is not going to work. I mean, it makes you exhausted, and it just annoys the pig, because right now pigs don't sing. And so when I heard that from Les Brown, it went right over my head. But in my 28 years in this industry of direct sales and building teams and running companies, I realized we can't make people something that they're not. Growth only happens when someone wants to embrace that growth and they're ready to grow. And it takes, number 4, ambition. Even if it's small wins. Brendon Burchard was talking this morning on a podcast I listened to about when he was in college and he was so depressed. And he said, some days my number 1 goal was just to get up off the floor and take a shower. And I always think, like, are you kidding me? But I've seen that firsthand, you guys. People so depressed that they can't even get up and take a shower. And how did that person get that way? If you're that person and you're that low, it didn't happen overnight. So you can't look on social media and say, oh, so-and-so's killing it. Look at me. I'm a loser. I'm not over there killing it, because That didn't happen overnight. And what they are 365 days ahead of you, reading every day, listening every day, growing every day, listening to a podcast every day, taking a course, volunteering, reading a book. Travel is a big thing that helps enlarge people's vision. So when I was listening this morning, the 4 things were: call a friend, get some perspective, right? Read a book, and get some ambition. Any single goal that you could do to move forward. Small steps, and you will find a better life. Now, that's all motivational, but when you go and you research it, in Forbes magazine, I read this morning about people who feel lost. It's called the drift syndrome. We can't figure out what we're doing. We don't know why we're doing it. Someone else is planning out our career. Our parents want us to do this. They want us to go to college. They want us to marry a certain person. Maybe your supervisor is expecting you to show up and do this, but you feel like it's a round, screw in a square hole. And you know that there are so many people out there that are out of step. They have no idea what they're doing, like this with their remote, trying to find source. They can't find it. You guys, the only way that you can find it is to really tap into what's most important to you. There are people that are too busy to even find their passion. Like, they don't even know what to do. And once you figure out that you're not just going to drift in this drift syndrome, like a ship without a rudder, and you say, this is what I want to do. You draw a line in the sand. You say, this is what I will not tolerate anymore in my life. Then and only then are you going to level up. If not, every step of the way in drift syndrome, you're going to keep going with the flow like a ship without a rudder. And pretty soon you're going to be lost at sea. Sometimes there's casualties because people are so lost. There's other times that people know what they should do, but they're too busy for their passion. They're too busy working to learn that trade. They're too busy, trying to make a living, raising their kids, some people volunteer too much. I can remember when I was signed up for everything. I was running the Christmas parade, painting the football field, making the sandwiches, driving the girls to dance, taking everyone to convention and competitions. I was even paying for the costumes. I was trying to take people that weren't even competition level and turn them into competition dancers because I loved everybody so much. I wanted them to be the best. And you know what? You can't make somebody want to be anything. You have to help that person to find their passion. And most people in the world are too busy to find their own passion. They need to carve away some time that they say, this is some me time. I'm going to go take a bubble bath. I'm going to go get a massage. I'm going to go read a book. I'm going to take a day with my friend. I'm going to take time, even if it means I lose money. It's scary. I'm out of my comfort zone. I take a sick day, whatever it is. Sometimes you got to take time for yourself to be like, I got to put my own oxygen mask on right now, because if this plane's going down, I need my own oxygen. I don't have enough for everyone else. And you guys can go watch TED Talks, YouTube. There's Netflix series. There's so much good stuff out there. It's just people don't focus on finding good. They scroll on the news. They want to be in the news feed. And right alongside of you finding passion and making time and getting your purpose figured out is to get motivated and to make a commitment that you're actually going to do this. Sometimes you don't know where you fall into place in this. Like, how am I ever going to do that? You have no sense of purpose. You don't know. It's hard to get motivated about something in a larger arena when you can't even figure out your own checkbook, your own family relationships, your own child that's lost, your own college course that you're failing, your own job that you're not doing the best at. We all have to really take a personal inventory. Am I taking care of me? And you guys, social support, blah, 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 that's a big one. Social support is so important because people aren't going to find that on Instagram and Facebook normally. They're going to feel comparison mode. They're going to feel competition mode. They're going to feel like, I'm not the best speaker. I don't know why I am even doing this. I go live and I look stupid. All these other people have a perfect little backdrop. I keep telling Dave, like, we need to build a perfect little backdrop with the right lighting. Like today, on my Instagram feed, I have some light. On my Facebook feed, I have all these shadows. My hair's still wet. I didn't have time to get ready. I was trying to take time for me. But you know what, you guys, sometimes you got to do things messy. Sometimes you got to do things when it's not all perfect, because while you're waiting for all the conditions to be right, smash the heart button, share this. If you're waiting for all the conditions to be right and you've been getting ready to get ready for so long and you're just lost, like they're never going to be right, then you start to have number 5, which is called cognitive overload. Like it's too much. Like it's too much. You're overwhelmed. You feel like you're going to have a meltdown. You feel like you're going to have a midlife crisis. You want to quit every good thing that's ever happened to you because your brain isn't evolving, because it's nonstop information getting bombarded. Like there's everything in the news, and there's everything at work, and there's everyone in your family, and there's everything in the news feed, and then there's all the bills, and then there's everyone else's problems that you're trying to fix, and then there's supper, and then there's the dog and the laundry, and like people get so overloaded with all the noise that they have no idea how to just come together and be like, I need to find the tools. I need to find the source button to get me from where I'm at to where I want to be. I'll be honest with you guys. I look at social media maybe twice, maybe 3 times a day, because it is the easiest way to lose yourself in everyone else's life and not be focused on designing your own. Now, I am working on social media. So yes, I'm answering questions. I mean, I make money on social media. It's a no-brainer. I'm going to have to be on Facebook and Instagram, but very few times, other than commenting and supporting the people that I'm coaching and working with and building teams with, it's important for me to comment and encourage them. I always do happy birthdays first thing in the morning, actually hiring a girl to help me keep up with messages. But the thing about it is I can't spend all day on there. I'm behind the wheel. I'm driving. I'm a mover. I'm a shaker. I'm looking at a real estate property, or I'm doing a Zoom, or I'm on a call with, a sales team. I'm not going to be sitting there scrolling, letting my precious time slip away from me, because time is money. And I could be working on myself. I could be working on a property. I could be working with my team. I could be growing a business. I could be, in my stores. I could be in the office. I could be enjoying a day with my family. Why would I take 12 hours of my day and spend 8 of it scrolling on social media? You guys, it's a sickness that people are so, like, they pick up their phone and they just scroll. Like, they just scroll. And there's rarely any good news on there. So I'm going to tell you, limit the time that you're just scrolling, unless you're making money from your phone-based business. Then you're on there, you're in your messenger box, you're DMing, you're answering questions, you're making sales. This is a perpetual money-making machine if you use it right. If you don't, it will literally, I say the remote control or the phone can be, if it's not used correctly, people who are just binging, watching all their shows. It's the automatic income reducer. And it is a habit that is terrible. I mean, it's probably the main reason why people stay stuck. Comparison mode, imposter syndrome. I could never be like that person. I could never be as great. I could never be as good. And that's not true. Starting today, I want to ask you guys to do the things I've talked about on this series this morning, on this No Guts, No Sorry. Get yourself in a quiet room, get a good book, find your source, pray, be still, breathe, maybe go work out, maybe do yoga, maybe just stretch. Bad diets fog your mind. Most people are not taking good nutrition. Most people are not getting any of the things that they need in the food that they are eating. And most people don't drink enough water. So the bottom line is, it's not just your daily habits that we've talked about, everything else, being around good people, having a sense of community, all the things. But when you have a bit, or you don't even realize, especially those of you that are so busy, you're driving through the drive-through, you get brain fog. And there's a lot of evidence, especially with kids. There are more ADHD and obese and sick kids right now. They say this is the first generation that will die before their parents. And it's all because of all of the crap and the toxins in our food. All of the flavorings and the colors and the dyes. In other countries, these things are illegal. In America, they're the #1 selling foods. So if you do nothing else, try to eat a little better. Try to move your body. Try to drink a little bit of water. Try to just stop eating fast food. Pack a lunch for the week. Take it to work. Maybe eat one salad. Maybe have 6 days of your fast food and just one day that you eat good. little baby steps. Ambition meaning just eat a little better, just drink a little more water, just read one page of a book, just get around one good person, just make one phone call to a friend, because those little tiny baby steps. And when I started reading, you guys, I remember The Magic of Thinking Big, The Magic of Believing, Og Mandino. The book was called The Greatest Salesman Ever, and it had nothing to do with sales. It was just living a great life. I remember reading a book called If How-Tos Were Everything, We Would All Be Skinny, Rich, and Happy. Because it's not just about the how-to, it's you having the ambition and the drive to be so sick and tired of being sick and tired, being that dog that's so sick and tired of laying on the nail. You're so sick and tired of the pain. It's going to be the pain of discipline, or it's going to be the pain of regret. And you're going to have to choose one of those two. But if you're like me, lost with your remote control, can't find the source button, feeling like a ship without a rudder, and one day you're like, God, help me. I hope that this broadcast has given you a few tips of how you could get better. And if you really want to get better, you're really sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you want to not just get it, but get it, you need to be in our group with these incredible people that I am mentoring in a mastermind called Best with Barb Pitcock. You can get a full 3 or 4 hour free download of Dave and I, where we did the GFP method that's helped us through every tragedy, trauma, setback in our life. And we always come out on top crushing it. Sometimes there's chapters that are longer than others where we're like on the struggle bus, but you got to get off of it. At some point, you got to get off the struggle bus and say, this is it. I'm going to the top. And you guys, you can't. You've been through things like this before. You've always survived. You will survive this no matter what it is you're going through. I want to help you. I can't make you successful. Success is not going to attack you, but I'm telling you, if you will just decide that you're worth it, you're worth $1 for a week to try to get a little bit better, and you jump into that mastermind group and you meet my life coach, and you meet my sales coach, and you meet my energy coach, and you meet my faith coach. Like, I'm telling you, it's power of association. And some people are in a bucket of crabs, and every time they try to crawl out of that bucket, there's this crawdad and crab pulling on their legs, trying to keep them down there in the comfort zone. You got to take a risk. You got to get out of your comfort zone, get around some good people. You got to get around some better energy. You got to get some better habits. You got to listen to some better information. You got to put better things in order to get better things out. And you have to get better skills. You got to have better skills to pay the bills. And sometimes that means you having someone that says, this is where you're at. This is where you want to be. Here's the map to get there. And you guys, I've had people like that in my life. And I would love to share that knowledge with everyone I can, because I really believe when you serve, the more people you serve and the more you give, the bigger the ripple effect. And we're creating an amazing storm in this mastermind group. So I love you guys. I hope you've gotten a lot out of this broadcast. I love sharing with you every Saturday morning, but the only way I win is when you tell a friend. It's all about word of mouth. And if you did get anything good out of today, please put the @ in the comments, tag your friends, share this broadcast on your wall with a comment that says, my takeaway today was. And for those of you that share it and you tag me and you put your one-liner, what's the one thing today that just hit you like a box of bricks right there? What was it? What was your one-line takeaway today that gave you your best? Like, you could be your best. This could be amazing. And I want you to do #best with Barb Pitcock. And if you will do that, I'm going to be doing a giveaway. I'm going to be giving away some Amazon and Starbucks cards today. I'm going to do that at the end of the day. I'm going to do a drawing, spin the wheel of all the people that have shared this broadcast. And I hope that you have an amazing day today from the information that I've shared straight from my heart. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe. I have a YouTube channel, a podcast on Apple and Spotify. And if you want a better life and you're looking for your best, join our mastermind group. Have a great day, everyone.